Big announcement here. Our second book, our sophomore book, Lady Secrets, Real, Raw, and Ridiculous Confessions of Womanhood, is available now for pre-order. Head over to theladygang.com/secrets to pre-order your book now. We're so excited about this. Thank you to our community who submitted all of their deepest, darkest secrets. And there's a couple sprinkled in there from yours truly and the other two dum-dums on this podcast. We love you guys so much for your support. We're so excited for you guys to read this. Head on over and order Lady Secrets at theladygang.com/secrets.
Well, what is this?
Welcome to the Lady Gang.
That's amazing. Say that again.
The Lady Gang.
Things are about to change around here.
Each week we catch up with Hollywood's hottest girl posse, Keltie Knight, Becca Tobin, and Jac Vanek.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Lady Gang. I'm Becca Tobin here with Jac Vanek and a very special guest.
A very special guest. It's been 6 years of doing the Lady Gang, and we haven't done an episode without Keltie until today. Like, this is our very first Keltie-less episode, and the only person that could fill Keltie's shoes is the other Keltie in my life, Alexis Linkletter.
I have a theory that we probably can't be in the same place at the same time. And that's probably why this is the way it's unfolding.
There's your guys' energy. I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but you're both heavy Enneagram 3s. You're both have very stressful energy, neurotic energy. And I think, you need to be on opposite corners of my life. So it's good that you're replacing her today.
I think so. Hi, Keltie. She'll probably listen, right? To make sure it all went okay.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. She's going to be
notes.
Nobody can replace me. You know, it was funny. I was reading through our book because obviously Lady Secrets is coming out soon. We're doing our last pass-throughs. And she was talking about The Walking Dead and how she can't watch it because it's too violent for her. And it's what she calls her brain diet. That's why she can't, she doesn't even acknowledge that we have a true crime podcast because
it's too scary.
It's too scary for her. So this is the only way we can get you on.
That works. That works for me. It's not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
No.
Music's not for everybody, Becca.
Music's not for everybody.
Nope.
That's true.
Nope.
I like
thing.
to say I'm a very moderate person with all of my passions, and true crime, I fall very much in the middle of, which is why I felt you'd be a great guest because I am very intrigued by it, but I also have my boundaries with it. I don't understand when people talk about falling asleep to Dateline. I don't, you know what I mean? I can't watch Forensic Files. So I like it. I used to listen to my favorite murder for a while. You know, when you bring a little bit of the lightness with the murder, it's all how you give it. So
it's about balance.
It's balance. So I'm really excited to have you come on because I feel like I'm not the only woman who feels this way.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like most people feel like they are somewhere around you.
Dabbling.
Or they have a complicated relationship with it and with their own fears about mortality. And I think that's what it all stems from.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So Jac did a little bit of a rundown, but can you give us your elevator pitch of Alexis and who she is and what she does?
Well, wait, do we want to wait for this do we need to do good week, bad week?
Oh shit, sorry. Okay, sorry. See, this is why we need Keltie.
This is why we need Keltie.
Alexis is joining us for
Good week.
Yes, it is.
Bad week. Oh, no.
Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Great.
My bad week is kind of a bad week by proxy for Jared, but it would be a bad week for anybody kind of but Jared. So this is before that I went on tour with Jared and I was texting him and I was like, what are you doing? With your day, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, we're in the middle of nowhere. This place, Fort Stockton, Texas. And he's like, and I just got McDonald's. There's nothing else going on in this town. And I was like, oh, okay. Sucks to be there. And then I get a DM. Becky, you know the story. I get a DM on Instagram 5 minutes later. And this girl goes, her name is Marie. She goes, I just saw Jerry and the maid at a McDonald's in Fort Stockton, Texas. Such a random place to see someone I recognized. I was excited, but didn't want to bother him. So I have eyes everywhere. I have eyes in Fort Stockton, Texas, of all places. And if Jared was anybody but Jared, he should be terrified that he can't do anything without me seeing anywhere in this world.
Also, the way that actually went was you got the DM first.
Did I?
Yes. So you get the DM, and then the funny thing is that Jared you're texting with him, and you're like, how are you? You didn't tell him that you got this DM. It just wasn't like the top of your whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm in this town. It's so small. Like, I just had McDonald's. And you wrote, I know. And then you sent him the DM screenshot.
Love it.
I know where you are at all times.
Everywhere.
I have eyes everywhere. Like, thank God he's not a sketchy guy, because if he pulled anything, I would find out literally before he even did it.
Well, look at it. It's like, look at all these celebrities who can't get away with anything. Ben Affleck's getting called out for messaging that girl on Raya from Selling Sunset.
Oh,
he can't get away with anything.
I know.
Yep.
Sucks to be shitty.
That's right.
I love it. Becca?
Okay, so my bad week, I was getting on a plane. I think I was coming to LA. Yeah. I was coming to LA to do our book shoot or whatever. And, you know, Alexis, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm very insecure about my height. I'm 5'3", and it's really annoying when Jac and Keltie wear giant shoes at photo shoots, you know, with me, because it's like, I said to Jac and Keltie, I was like, this is just it's disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm already short. Take one for the fucking team and wear a 2-inch or 3-inch heel and, you know, whatever. So they don't, because they're dicks. Right. They're selfish. So I have a complex.
5.5-inch heel.
Yeah. So I have a complex naturally, and I'm not feeling my best going into this photo shoot because, like, I'm a brand new mom and I haven't had time to do anything. Like, my hair looks like shit. My nails look like shit. Everything looks like shit. And I'm getting on the plane, and it's just going to be a really quick trip. And I'm like, you just got to feel hot for like an hour. You just got to feel hot for an hour.
You can do it.
I can do it. Yeah. And I'm behind this guy as we're boarding the plane, and he's like this like 55-year-old guy who clearly takes steroids. He's like jacked up and like veiny and tan and just kind of like gives me bad vibes already. We're getting on the plane, and he has 3 bags with him. You know, he has a personal item, a carry-on, and a hanging bag. And the gate agent very nicely says, sir, you have too many items. You need to check the carry-on. A reasonable question or reasonable request. He's like, I travel 4 days a week, and I always bring this with me, and I always bring this, and I always bring this. She's like, I can't tell you about those other times, but this is my job, and blah, blah. Very nice, you know?
Everybody knows. You can only have 2 items.
They announce it like 65 times
Throughout
the course of being in the airport to taking off.
Yeah, and I was also looking at this dipshit being like, you could have hid it. You could have put the little bag inside the garment bag and walked right past her, you fucking idiot.
You know what you do? You put it, you have to go to one of those stores, you get a big plastic bag, then you put your third bag in there.
Yeah. Get one of those IKEA blue duffel things and throw everything in there.
You could throw yourself in there, they're so big.
Dude, people were doing that on the subway in New York because they're like, you can carry a dog that's big enough to fit in a bag. So they were having like St. Bernards in these giant, like, it fits in a bag. That's the rule.
That's genius. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. That's great.
So he checks his bag.
No, so he's just bitching and whatever. And I think she makes him check his bag. I don't know. But then he walks away. And as he walks away for her to hear it, he goes, yeah, you and your 5'3" power trip. Because she was probably my height. And he called her out on her height. You and your 5'3" and your power trip. Like we have little man syndrome or something. And I was like, sir, she's just doing her job. And I was like, this fucking guy. So anyways, I was like, I always thought and assumed that only men get trolled for when they're short. But no, apparently women also get trolled when they're short by men. So,
oh my God, what a dick. She was just doing her job.
Yeah.
And if she was tall, he would have said, oh, you think because you're tall, you're as powerful as a man.
I guess.
There's no win.
That was the first dig of that nature that I've heard. And I just, it was terrible. But
what a dick.
My good week, it's always about my self-esteem these days. My good week is we recently had Craig from Summer House on the LadyGang as a guest. He was wonderful. He's so funny. And we posted about him when it aired, our normal thing. And then I see that after I posted my story about him coming on the podcast, he reposts my story and he said, I was always such a huge fan of Glee. This was really exciting for me.
Oh,
that he's never said on the podcast. Like he he didn't mention being a fan of Glee. I was like thinking to myself that he was just looking at all of us like these old ladies, because he's dating like the hottest girl ever. Like she's like late 20s Paige from Summer House. So anytime I'm with a guy like that, I'm always so insecure when I'm just less hot than the girl that they're with, you know?
And it doesn't help that whenever we record podcasts, we don't do anything to make ourselves like look presentable. So we look like haggard old broads.
No, you
Exactly.
don't. But I'm going to get on board with the self-deprecation because it's how I am too. So, but I disagree. But yes,
but
we're
if
all
I
the
had
worst.
known. But that was my good week. It was really flattering. I mean, in hindsight, I wish that I had dressed up and really like wowed him with
Like a
her
lingerie.
Cleavage.
So
Cleavage.
now I feel like he's a dear friend.
I love that.
That makes sense that he was a fan of Glee. Like it tracks. I think. Yeah. I love that. Oh,
it's
love
pretty
a secret fan.
Okay, Alexis.
Okay, so I'm excited about my bad week because it's kind of a full circle LadyGang moment.
Oh.
So I have a secret obsession that I have only barely mentioned to Jack.
Ziggly.
Yes, and another podcast guest that you guys have had, actually. My little sister and I, Sophia, are obsessed with the Skinny Confidential, and we do everything Lauren Bostic says, pretty much. That's why I never told you, Jack, because I would...
Because I feel like you need to like me more, you know?
That's right. But I like her stuff. And for Christmas, I bought my sister and I the matching Skinny Confidential canopy humidifiers that she was making. They're pink. They're really cool. They're expensive, but like we got matching ones and the little oils that smell that she designed. This is who I am. I'm bearing my truth. So we go to Jared's show at House of Blues on Friday night last week, and we all get drunk. We're
hammered.
All just a wild night. Like truly, like we let some inner demons out. It was strange, but it was really fun.
Through Fireball. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get home. I'm like, I'm going to now create my Zen sleep environment. And I go to fill up the canister, like for the water tank of my Skinny Confidential canopy thing. And I'm so tipsy. I'm drunk, frankly. I fill it up and I drop it and it explodes on my bedroom floor like a gallon of water at like 3 a.m. And I was just like, holy, it was so upsetting. And it broke, which is the worst part. And then what are you going to do at 3 a.m.? It was a puddle, a gallon of water all over the floor. So I just left it and then I forgot about it. And then I woke up in the morning and I walked in it and I was like reminded of the whole thing all over again. And it was just really sad. And I threw it in the trash this morning, the whole thing.
Oh no.
Yeah. And they don't make them anymore.
Don't?
I don't think so. I think it was limited edition, you know, the drop demand culture.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I got it. So that was the first thing. Now I don't have a humidifier and it was limited edition and I'm sad, but then that's my bad week, right? Did I do that right?
Yeah, that was perfect.
That's a bad week. Okay, my good week also involves Jack. On Sunday, we're all still recovering from Friday, so we go to my boyfriend's boat down in Marina Del Rey, and me and Jack take a stand-up paddleboard that we're both sitting on, and I'm paddling her like I drive a gondola in Italy.
Yeah, I feel like we're in like the Venice canals, and I was being like driven around.
Right, we're like deep in the marina. And it's the weirdest thing. You go out there and men just see two girls floating on a paddleboard and everyone stops and people started throwing full cans of beer to us.
Wow.
Like, want a drink? And like people were throwing us beers. And I was like, this feels good. Like, it's like...
Honestly, you will never be hit on more than if you are sitting on a paddleboard in the water in any marina. Like,
really,
we were like the Hadid sisters, and like everybody was vying for our love, and like trying to be with us by throwing beers at us. I was like, I've never felt hotter.
Every boat that passed us slowed down because it's all dudes. Every jet ski, every other paddleboarder. And I was like, we're just trying to talk because like you're really in this peaceful environment. You have no phone. And me and Jack were literally just talking about life. And beer cans were just coming out of nowhere. But luckily they float, so they bob. So I'd be able to like swim over and get one that we missed.
It was honestly
That's a
like
good week.
It was an amazing experience.
Important question, because I don't want girls to be disillusioned and go out on a marina and a paddleboard and like not get this kind of attention, because I'm assuming I know exactly the kind of swimwear Jac was in.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what kind of swimwear you were in?
I was wearing a Beach Riot bikini with a hat.
Hers wasn't as, as
provocative,
scandalous as mine was.
Mine was more for sports,
like sporty.
She's trying to live like the maritime sort of a vibe down there on that boat. So it was like a blue and white sort of like nicely covered, nautical appropriate bathing suit.
Okay, so you can also get
so they were
beers
throwing
thrown
the beer
at you.
cans probably at Jac.
Listen, anything to get a free drink,
Okay, when we come back, Alexis is going to give us a little glimpse into the scary side of life.
Spooky.
So the 2022 wedding boom is real, and Birdie Gray makes it easy for brides to find the perfect bridesmaids dresses all under $100. All of Birdie Gray's bridesmaid dresses are priced at $99. They have chiffon dresses that are perfect for a traditional bridal party. They also have sexy satin gowns that you can totally double as a wear again option if you're attending 10 other weddings. And let me tell you something. People always say that, oh, you can wear it again. It's so cute. They never mean it, and you're never going to wear it again. But I'm telling you, I went on this website and I would wear one of these dresses without being a bridesmaid to other weddings. The satin dresses are so chic. Their color selection is curated to make mix and match easy, and the online shopping experience is so fun to filter through various colors and fabrics. Check out their best-selling convertible dress in sea glass. You can wear it over 15 ways. You can try Birdie Gray for yourself by visiting birdiegray.com. Check out their curated assortment of $99 bridesmaid dresses. Plus, if you're a bride looking to nail that bridal party look, you can get 3 swatches for free. They'll also throw in free shipping in the U.S. with promo code LADY. That's Birdie Gray, BIRDYGREY.com, promo code LADY.
Today's episode of LadyGang is sponsored by CBDX. If you love hemp and health and wellness, then you need to know about the latest, coolest thing that's sweeping the market. It's called Delta 8 THC. Sounds epic, right? It feels like cannabis, and you can find it right now at CBDX.com. Plus, in addition to Delta 8, CBDX offers vape products, gummies, concentrates, and of course, actual flower, commonly known as bud. Just head to CBDX.com and use code LADY for 20% off your first order, and you'll get a free gram of dry bud. And guess what? Thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill that was passed in Congress, this is all perfectly legal. Orders ship within 24 hours, and they ship to 39 states. Trust me, they are CB delightful. Just head to CBDX.com and use code LADY for 20% off your first order, and you'll get a free gram of dry bud. Do not drive or operate machinery while using these products. Please be responsible. This episode of LadyGang is brought to you by our friends at Daily Harvest. Daily Harvest has this new product. It's called Crumbles, and it's basically these plant-based crumbles that are a delicious source of protein that are made from ingredients grown in the ground, not in a lab. They're 100% built on plants and nothing else. Crumbles are packed with 13 grams of protein in each serving from ingredients like nuts, seeds, and lentils. Plus, they're gluten and dairy-free. So on the back of it, it's like, add it to whatever, put it on this. And then it was like, wrap it in a lettuce wrap. And I was like, wait, a lettuce wrap? That's sounds delicious. So I went out to my garden. I took some lettuce, nice crunchy lettuce, pan warmed up these crumbles for like 2 seconds and made basically like a lettuce burrito of the crumbles. It was so delicious and gave me weirdly so much energy. I think that's what happens when you eat healthy food. Literally Daily Harvest already crushed the smoothies and the flatbreads and everything else they make, but these crumbles are delicious. So go to dailyharvest.com/lady to get up to $40 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/lady for up to $40 off your first box. dailyharvest.com/lady.
Now back to the Lady Gang.
Okay, so I have an intro for you, Lex. Every time, obviously, we have a guest on, Keltie writes this like amazing intro, so I did my best to take a stab at it.
I bet it's great.
I love you.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. The imposter syndrome is going to kick in real soon, so I'm going to brace myself for it.
I took it mostly from your bio. I didn't do anything crazy. Okay. Our guest today is not only my best friend and business partner, but one of the smartest people I know. And that is true. This woman is a literal true crime powerhouse. She's a documentary producer, investigative journalist, podcast writer, interviewer, and TV host. She's launched true crime projects such as Unraveled, Unmasking a Killer for CNN, Deadly Recall on Investigation Discovery, and hosted the true crime talk show Talking Evil on Discovery Plus, which was one of the most insane things that I've ever seen in my life. And like, I've never seen anybody so talented. She is the driving force and genius behind our other podcast, The First Degree, and it would be nothing without her. She's the George Costanza to my Jerry Seinfeld and can rock a Wednesday Addams look like no other. After 6 years of LadyGang, welcome to the podcast, Alexis Linkletter.
Oh my gosh, that was the nicest thing. I'm like choking up.
I mean, like I said, it's almost verbatim from your bio, so then I had to throw in the George
Costanza. You threw in your own little flair in there, which I thought was really sweet. Thank you. That was awesome.
I have a question for you about like your career. We always have these girls who want to like pursue something that's not corporate.
Yeah.
And when you were young, what was the thing you were chasing? What was the goal? What was it? Because it's like you kind of curated your own career out of a whole lot of different skills. And I think there's a lot of girls who listen to LadyGang who feel that way.
Yeah.
How did you zero in on it? Like, what was your trajectory kind of into this?
I think just boiling it down to super practical steps. I knew senior year that I hated New York, and I knew that I wanted to work in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So the first thing I did was I just put myself in the right city. I moved to LA and I tried to hone in on what it is I wanted to do because I went to school for communications, which could apply to what I do now. But I thought I wanted to do PR first. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, I'll be like Samantha Jones, like parties and this and that. Like that was what I wanted to do. And then I did that for a couple years and I hated it. So then I had to go start from the bottom somewhere else. I was working as an assistant at Discovery Studios for 3 producers. Jack and I were friends then. It was the most difficult job I've ever had. I had a really mean, abusive boss. Abusive. It was really hard. Yeah. But there, they were producing true crime shows, and that's sort of where I got exposed to it. And my next job after that was doing research for true crime shows, and it just, every year I just moved closer and closer and honed in on what I wanted to do. And Jack was the one who actually introduced me to the world of podcasts. Mm-hmm. We were best friends, and she was having, with you and Keltie, all the success with LadyGang. And I was like, I really want to do a true crime podcast. She's like, me too. And we sort of started sculpting the concept that way. And without First Degree and Jack, I never would have been able to do Unraveled. Like really, she has been my biggest supporter and facilitator in that way. But I think for people who are trying to zero in on what they do, like find your industry, put yourself in the right place, and start doing internships and things like that to really just hone in. And the second part would be, once you realize what you want to do, you just have to work double time. I was working full time producing true crime TV, even though I started really at the bottom. And then at night and weekends, we were hustling, writing episodes of The First Degree and figuring out how that looked. And I was working 2 jobs. I still am, but that's how you do it. Because you know what, your passion project might not work out, but your day job should still be in the field that you're interested in. And they usually help each other grow. And that's exactly what happened.
Because your day job is what exactly now?
So right now I'm working as an executive producer on a series for CNN Plus. Well, they're going to move it now. They just canceled that streaming service, but it's for CNN called All That Remains. And it's based on a case that I was actually exposed to through First Degree. So like find a way, and Jack does this too very well, find a way for all your different streams of income to help elevate each other. Yeah. Like Jack does this better than anyone I know, where she's so good at merch and she makes that work for her in LadyGang, in First Degree. All of the things she does promotes the other thing she does. Mm-hmm. Jack's really the best person at this. And I try to take some notes from her just in a completely different genre.
Yeah. And I think that it's also just the thing where everybody thinks that, it's like, wow, how did you get so successful? And like with everything, it takes 10 years to make an overnight success. Like that kind of statement, I feel like rings true for what you did, Lex. Like you really did like start from the bottom, and it like took a long time and you're still kind of going up those steps to get to the place that you really want to be. So I think that it's a lot easier to like look at somebody from the outside and be like, wow, that looked easy. Like, I think I'll just do that.
Like a lot of people too, your first step is actually probably the most important. It was physically leaving your comfort zone. you know, there's a lot of people out there who want to do all these really cool things and have dreams of these big things, but they can't happen where they are geographically. And so that's a lot of the time like that you can't even get started if you're not willing to make that first like uncomfortable leap.
The jump.
And not only that, it's beyond geography. It's you can't put yourself in a rut with people who aren't also motivated. You can't stay in the same group of friends that are complacent, you know? And for me, high school, that's like, I had to just completely reinvent myself because high school sucked, you know? And that's something I was really excited to do. And it really helped because you can't still be what you perceive people to see you as and also reinvent yourself. You need to kind of just be like total fish out of water experience.
Right. Okay, so I want to talk about, I know Becca wanted to talk about like specific cases. I want to talk about Unraveled and Long Island Serial Killer because this was like your passion project for like 5 years. And you sort of helped unlock this whole new thing with an unsolved case. And it's fucking insane. So can you give Becca like a TLDR of what your whole role is with that? And then she can ask questions.
Sure. So let me find the best way to paraphrase. So I would say probably 5 years ago, a guy I knew from high school who I was friends with in high school, his name's Chris. We started talking. He was in jail at the time, and he told me that he had this information about a government official who was super high up who was connected to the case of the Long Island serial killer. The Long Island serial killer is an unsolved series of homicides, 10 victims. Between, the 90s and 2010, they started to be dumped on this stretch of beach. And they were found after a woman had gone missing from a neighborhood right near this location. In the search for her, they start finding these bodies. They find her last. So they dub this person who's ever done this the Long Island serial killer. Now, it turns out the police chief who was overseeing this investigation, nothing was happening. This case was never really solved. They weren't doing anything to solve it. And the police chief, it seemed like he was almost doing it on purpose. And he kind of was, because it turns out these were all sex workers, by the way. It turns out he has a history with sex workers. And in fact, he was attending sex parties right where these bodies were found and engaging in sex work with sex workers. So in a completely unrelated incident, my friend Chris breaks into this guy's car and steals a duffel bag full of sex toys and pornography and
snuff films.
Other strange snuff films, other strange paraphernalia.
What is a snuff film?
So a snuff film is technically like designated as a film where someone is killed and it's filmed. And then
got it.
These are sold on the black market, allegedly, So Chris didn't know the car he had broken into and stolen the bag out of was actually the police chief's. These were his items. So the police chief finds him, beats him up, throws him in jail. And he's silenced for several years until basically we start talking and we helped give him a platform to tell his story. And we think that this police chief sabotaged the investigation of the Long Island serial killer to cover up his own indiscretions. Mm-hmm. And that's our working theory, because there's no reason why it shouldn't have been solved. It was just a neglected case. And now, we're 12 years out. It's going to be harder and harder to solve. And it has been, So that's really how Unraveled started. And the thing I'm most proud about with that is that we pitched this to networks and everyone passed, including Discovery Plus and ID. So it's a lesson in not letting. 3 years later, they ended up buying it, and then they bought 4 more. They're like, we want 5 of these. So it's a lesson to not give up, and it was something I would have pursued for no money. I worked on this for 5 years, investigating it and documenting and things like that. So it's my most, I'm really proud of that, just because I didn't give up, even though everybody said no.
Yeah.
And it really was a pivotal turning point for my career, which I'm just super grateful to even have had the opportunity. But that's the story with that. I tried to keep it as succinct as I could.
It's so complicated and
Wait, so okay, I have a couple of questions. Did this friend from high school reach out to you because he knew that you were sort of in this world of true crime, or did you how did that meetup happen?
I can't remember if I reached out to him or he reached out to me, but I know for me, it was because I wasn't looking to reconnect with friends from high school at all. Like so it was certainly, I started talking to his girlfriend because he was in jail. So I had to figure out how to contact him and visit him and things like that. But yeah, I was like, hey, this is the world I'm working in. Do you need a platform?
Mm-hmm.
And it just grew from there. So we started talking more often and visiting.
There was a lot of times that he was like refused to talk to you, or you had to convince him to like continue on, because obviously it's like it's a very vulnerable place for him to be in too. Just like sharing a story like that, knowing like the power that the police could have over him.
Yeah, he had a lot of notoriety in the police department. Everyone knew who he was. So there was a lot of fear because there was a lot of political corruption. And also, like, he was also a brat. You know, he's an addict. He has a really erratic personality. I would say this to his face.
The guy in jail?
Yeah. And he would be just demanding. And he's a very difficult person. I have a lot of respect for him, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, and like, so they filmed part of this, or they filmed a whole documentary that was on Discovery, and Alexis and Billy you were like going to this police chief's house and like knocking on the door, and Alexis is dressed in her like really cute little dress, and it's like for me, that's fucking terrifying, because you don't know what these people are capable of, and now you're putting yourself in the line of fire with a camera. Like, it's spooky.
So when we knocked on the police chief's door to try to get him to talk to us, I knew that you guys were maybe going to ask, like, maybe one of my most embarrassing professional moments, and it goes hand in hand with that moment.
Yes, please.
Because I was terrified, and I was holding an umbrella, and, like, Billy knocks on the door, and for some reason the umbrella, like, ejected out, like, at that very moment. And I was, like, trying to, like, put it back in. I knew the camera. I was like, that was the nerdiest shit anyone could ever do, ever. Luckily, the editors, like, kind of finessed it, but you still see me launching that, like, umbrella. I was like, what just happened? This is supposed to be such a suspenseful moment.
You're like, this is the most important moment that they filmed the entire thing. Like, if he opens up the door, somebody's like, he's not home, and Alexis is, like, fumbling with her umbrella.
No, like Mary Poppins. It was awful.
Is he retired, the police chief?
Mm-hmm. He went to jail for what he did to my friend Chris. So he went to jail for 36 months. And then he's out, and now he's just out and about, bopping around.
Do you feel like you're ever going to figure out what happened, or who the serial killer was?
Yeah, I do. I don't necessarily think it's him. I think he's done worse than we know, and I know he's a violent guy. I've heard a lot of stories about beating sex workers up, allegedly, and things like that. I think he's responsible for why we haven't caught him, though.
Right.
You know, and I think they'll catch him. Like, the current police are under so much pressure after this blunder of, like, having this corrupt police chief that they have to do something.
That's
so cool. Like, so
it's wild.
So that's obviously something that would keep you up at night and you're constantly thinking about. Is there another, like, unsolved case that you've obsessed over in the past? Or what's, like, if someone says, tell me, like, the most up true crime story that you've ever heard or whatever, what is it?
There's so many that it's like, and they're all awful. Like, you know, tragic, like losing a loved one to old age is awful. Like, imagine the agony of, like, having someone stolen from you. And that's sort of like, they're all terrible.
What about Collier's story?
Yeah, Collier's story is incredible. Collier's become a friend, and his dad killed his mom, and he heard it. He was a little boy. And
he was like 11 years old.
Oh my
God. Then basically his dad was in control of him because the dad pretended the mom was just missing. And Collier started meeting with a detective secretly at school and helping the detective try to solve it, and was, like, crawling through crawl spaces in the basement looking for his mom's body. He's 12 years old. It's the wildest story I've ever heard. And in a story of resilience, too. I mean, he helped his dad get convicted. He testified against his dad. He did help find his mom's body, and his mom's body was in the basement of his mistress's house. That he bought a house with his mistress and was starting a new life, who was pregnant with his child. And Collier helped solve his mom's case, and he's he's really come a long way. Like, imagine that.
How old is he now?
Now he's 44, but what's messed up is after he helped convict his dad, he was put in the foster care system, separated from his little sister who was adopted by a different family. Like, he's just one hit after the next. It's really just disturbing because even the mom's family, it was too painful to be around Collier. I'm like, that is so awful.
Awful.
It just gets worse and worse. So I have a lot of admiration for people with that kind of resilience. Like, because I don't know that I could survive that.
It was crazy too because there is so much like courtroom content's not the word. Video
Footage,
from
yeah.
footage from when he was in the courtroom. This kid talks better than any adult that I have ever seen in my entire life. Like imagine being put up. Your father killed your mother, and then you are going to be there to convict you're the reason and such a big piece of why your father's going to get convicted. And he was just like, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to say what I saw. And it was f***ing crazy.
It was really incredible. And, Collier's just one example of just like these incredible people who triumph over tragedies that we've had on our podcast, The First Degree. It's like everyone inspires me and shocks me because I just don't know that I could make it through some of this. It's really incredible.
That's something I always wonder and think about when I look at children who have had one parent murder the other. How complicated those feelings would be having, like, I guess his weren't all that complicated because he knew that he needed to basically turn his dad in for what he had done. But I feel like you hear about people maintaining relationships with the parent that's still alive because it's their parent. It's just so f***ed up and so sad that like you navigate that as a child.
It's really, it's next level trying to comprehend sort of being thrown into that when you're dealing with puberty and like whether your friends like you have so many other immature shit going on at that time that like it's hard to fathom.
You don't even comprehend the concept of death at that point when you're that young. And then also it's like you're dealing with denial and then you're going to lose both of your parents. Like it's such a complicated, like nuanced sort of position to be put in that you see stories of people like him. Like that was one of the craziest stories I think we ever covered.
Yeah, for sure.
Wild. I was actually listening to the Bitch Sesh podcast with Casey Wilson and Danielle Schneider. It's like my new obsession. And they were joking about, I think it was them. They were joking about how like every single Dateline, when it's a husband and wife and one kills the other, it's always because they've started a new life with someone else, like the affair, like the mistress you're saying with Collier's dad. Like, why can't people just break up?
Just get a divorce, you know?
Is it financially motivated? Is it like, why does the murder happen? They don't want to go through a divorce and give money. They don't want to share their kids. Like, or what is it? Do you feel like you even know?
I think it's usually one of two things. I mean, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. I think there's just a narcissism that demands everything, and feels entitled to everything, and women do it, but men do it more. And I think there's an audacity that comes along with being a man that women can never understand, and men can never understand that they even have it, the privilege that they don't even know. So I think they just get carried away with like, I'm going to give half my earnings because they probably think they're the woman reared the children and that's worth less. So I'm going to give half my earnings to this person who doesn't want to sleep with me anymore. Like she's already had the kids somewhere in their subconscious, like she's used up and done anyway. I might as well just, And that's what happens a lot, but it's always narcissistic because even if it's just greed, even when women do it for money, you have to be narcissistic to feel entitled to somebody's life.
Yeah.
There's also, I feel like, a pride to it too, that some people are like, I have such a sense of pride in myself that I don't want to go through a divorce, or I don't want to look like a failure. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to just like do this thing and try to hide it. And a lot of these people have gotten away with a lot of things in their life that it's just like another thing that you're like ramping up, and you're like either sociopathic mind or something, to get to a point where like, I think I could do this. I could get away with it. I'll write a life insurance policy out for my wife, and then like 3 days later, like I'll kill her and
no one will know. I'll just seem like the grieving husband. And a
lot of people get away with it. So it's like,
Jesus Christ. Isn't it like sociopaths are made, psychopaths are born? Isn't that what it is?
Yes, I've heard that. And I just think it's so nuanced.
Right.
Who knows?
Like
what?
They're also interchangeable. Like, I feel like everybody's definition of a psychopath, sociopath is different.
Hi, everyone. It's Keltie. This episode of LadyGang is brought to you by your probiotics. Are you taking a probiotic? If you're not, nope, need to get in on the game. And that's why we're sponsored by Ritual. Ritual Synbiotic Plus contains 2 of the world's most studied strains, which over 350 publications of human clinical trials. Ritual is science-backed and research-stacked. It's more than a probiotic. It's a 3-in-1 capsule with clinically studied prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. From everything that I've learned about my body is that your gut is your second brain. So if you're feeling like sluggish or depressed or like not a lot of energy and stuff, it sometimes is not your brain. It can be your gut. It's a single nested minty capsule from Ritual. You take 1 capsule for simple streamlined gut support. The delayed release capsule is designed to reach the colon, not the stomach, an ideal place for probiotics to survive and grow. Synbiotic Plus and Ritual are here to celebrate, not hide your insides. There's no more shame in your gut game. That's why Ritual is offering all the LadyGang listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/LadyGang to start Ritual or add Synbiotic Plus to your subscription today. I don't know how many times I can tell you here at LadyGang that I love my Rothy's, but I'm back again to tell you. Love, style, sustainability. You need to check out Rothy's. They are the perfect shoes for commuting and traveling and wearing to work. They're known for their chic pointed toe little flats, but they have tons of iconic designs, and I love my white sneakers and my slip-on sneakers. I have them in like the ivory sand color. I have them in leopard print, and then I have the white lace-up sneakers. Plus, all of the products are made with a knit thread that's made from plastic water bottles. They've repurposed around 125 million water bottles so far. That's amazing. Cute style, amazing comfort, and the washability. We all want this crisp white sneaker for the summer to go with all of our little dresses and all that stuff. And then they get dirty and you're like, oh, I'm dingy. No. You just throw your Rothy's right in the washing machine and they're brand new. Discover the versatile styles you can wear absolutely anywhere and get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/LadyGang. That's Rothy's, ROTHYS.com/LadyGang for $20 off your first order. I'm excited for you. This episode of LadyGang is brought to you by Chime. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. You can get started at chime.com/lady. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you have bills due and stuff to do. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's up to 2 days more to save, pay bills, generally feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just about getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. You can get started at chime.com/lady. That's chime.com/lady. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer.
You're listening to the LadyGang.
Lex, I wanted to talk about, so in Unraveled, they do like each season's like a different case and focusing on different things. But I wanted to talk about fingerprints because this is something that I learned recently that I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't know. Just about, how you learn that every fingerprint is different. It's like a snowflake, but that is not true.
Yeah. So when you look at claims made in the area of forensic science, and I'm putting science in air quotes because science is generally something that needs to be tested. There need to be case studies. There needs to be variables that do not change no matter what. And I won't get too into the weeds of the science, but it needs to be a testable, repeatable theory. And you need to be able to prove that. But there are, scientific requirements that make things science. And something we're all taught from a very young age is that everybody's fingerprint is unique. And if you conducted a study and asked everybody what they thought, almost everybody would say that. But the thing is, there's literally no evidence of that. You'd have to test. You need everybody's fingerprints in the world. So it's literally just a theory. And fingerprint experts get it wrong all the time. All the time.
And when you there's like expert witnesses on all these trials, and it's like that's kind of subjective. Yeah. And an expert witness is only as expert as they are claiming to be. So it's like a lot of the stuff that you kind of think is fact in the true crime world is kind of just, it's all like a theory, I guess.
In your word, Jack, subjective is the key to that. Science is not subjective. So I take issue with referring to things as forensic science when it's like blood pattern analysis. It's like, that's literally your opinion about what could have happened. There's nothing scientific about it. It's like an art form, it's subjective. So everybody needs to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I always felt that way when I would watch documentaries or whatever it would be, where it did not feel like there's an absolute. So like blood splatter, and there's got to be so many different variables that we don't know. They're like missing from the thing, and you're guessing. So I remember watching, for instance, the what was the case with the woman who fell down the stairs, and one of the theories was that a
staircase.
A staircase.
The owl theory.
The owl theory.
Yeah.
There was a lot of blood splatter and the theories, and they made it seem so absolute, but in the end they have no clue what happened, right? Still?
The problem with that case, and this is a problem with a lot of cases, is that because the authorities lied, it undermines the truth.
Right.
Because they manipulated, because same thing, the guy who was testifying about the blow poke in the blood spatter, he had no experience and he completely lied. And it's now the whole case is ruined. If law enforcement, and they don't have integrity, I think there's no way to know what happened. I think
anywhere. That was the thing. This is the biggest thing I've learned in true crime is there is no way to know what happened. It's all a theory. So unless you have a video of somebody doing it and their DNA and a confession, it's anything could have happened. These people are just putting together their random puzzle pieces that don't even fit into each other.
Yeah.
And here's the problem, and a lot of people don't know this either. DNA analysis can be subjective. So it's just because DNA, the numbers, whatever you get from the testing, that's true. But then it comes down to the numbers of alleles that match, because you don't always get a whole thing, and how you analyze, exclude people, include people from being a possible match, completely subjective. So it's just a scary world, and it could happen to anybody. A lot of people get wrongfully convicted. So
how do you feel about people now who still Amanda Knox, she's really out there now. She does podcasts. She talks about her experience, and as somebody who knows very little, I have heard enough to be oh, she got so.
Yeah.
There are still people who think she did it. Is that right?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some people's minds are never going to change just because they learned through the lens of her guilt. They learned through the news, and they were rapid fire. It's all, cognitive bias. It
was Italian propaganda almost against her.
Yeah. But there's some people who will never, and especially a lot of psychological things are going on, like the prosecutor who was, addicted, frankly, to trying to prove this. When your pride is on the line and money's on the line and your professional reputation, you will just convince yourself of anything, and it's a cognitive bias problem.
Oof.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's so crazy.
It is.
Don't you want to get to the one juicy question that we all want answers to?
Oh, about Alexis's relationship that she'll never talk about on the First Degree?
Well, it just feels like I would love to talk about it, because it feels like I never get to, because it's not the appropriate forum. But this is.
Well, it's funny. Alexis and Billy are both very private with their private lives on the First Degree, and I am very open. I could not be more open with my relationship. So there's still people that listen to our podcast that doesn't know that Alexis has been in a relationship for a year
2
and
years.
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. No, some people are like, have you ever been in a relationship is one of the questions. I was like, this is great. They think I'm like sitting at home reading true crime books, never been kissed.
But they've never been kissed.
That's
but
right.
you thrive on that. You thrive on like
mystery,
the elusiveness of Alexis Linkletter. But
it is more exciting.
It is more exciting. But yeah, Alexis has the most amazing boyfriend in the world. He his only downfall is he's a vegan, but that's okay. We can live with it.
He loves animals. The man loves animals. He used to have a podcast at Podcast One called Forked Up. He writes vegan cookbooks. They're called Bad Manners. They're all bestsellers. He's writing his 5th. His name's Matt. Love you, babe.
He's the best.
He's the best thing that ever happened to me. And like, I finally found the one, and I'm so relieved because I've been through hell with. Jack knows every ex-boyfriend I've had, by the way, too.
Oh yeah.
And I'm always like Cinderella. Just none of it was really the right fit. And I finally got one.
Well, and it's hard too, being in like the profession that you're in, and it's very intimidating to a lot of guys out there. And we all know dating in Hollywood is like the fucking worst. So it's nice when you find a guy that lifts you up.
Yeah, and I mean, we were really lucky. We were like a COVID couple. You know, we could have been single all through COVID, but we met right at the beginning, so we got to just spend a lot of time together, which was great. I mean, we made the most of it.
Are you guys gonna have a double wedding then? Jack and Alexis double wedding?
Yeah, we are. It's Jack's dream.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm like, just get the attention off of me. Alexis is getting married.
Yeah,
you could get engaged that night. That would be exciting.
No.
You just said you don't want the attention,
but not that.
No, that's like a
but
full
that.
thunder theft. Like,
I think that there's nothing worse than when people do that. Might be like my biggest like ick in the world.
And honestly, like Jack hates attention, but the person who hates it probably just either a little less or a little more than her would be me anyway. Yeah. So I, wouldn't be the one to steal the thunder. But
don't worry, Keltie will do something, I'm sure.
Keltie she should just wear white or something.
I wish she would.
She'll do something at my wedding to just really flip it on its head, I'm sure. I did want to ask one more thing before we leave. And I just think it's really funny because Alexis and I always joke about how when, she, in a couple years, whatever, she's going to write her true crime tell-all. Because I don't think people realize that the true crime world is petty. There's like affairs going on. Like it is this little high school world of like just so much shit going on. And somebody's got to tell it, and it's probably going to be Alexis.
It's probably going to be me, only because I like buddy up with everyone really well because I'm not really a true crimey person. Like my personality, I'm like Jack. I'm like kind of a basic bitch. So I'm also really personable and friendly and like throwing rosés around for people and getting people comfortable, So people like dish to me, and I'm just like over here writing everything down. We're all going to Crime Con this weekend. I wanted Jack to come too, but she's going to Stagecoach. But we're all going to Crime Con, and I don't know. There's going to be some drama. I know it. We're all staying in Vegas, and I'm just excited to see Dr. Phil because he's going.
Wait, Dr. Phil's like going to Crime Con?
She's like Dr. Phil's super fan.
Oh my God.
I love Dr. Phil.
This is so funny to me.
That man has made it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's made it.
Like that man has made it. And he's just like, well, I'm going to send you to rehab. And I'm like,
you're like, I want to do that. I want to have that power over people.
Yeah, bad.
Oh my
and then
God.
his wife, Robin, is just sitting in the front row with her Chanel suits, and then they walk off together arm in arm. I'm like, that's the couple goal shit I want. Like world domination.
Yeah.
Daily talk show.
They're so rich.
Well, they're flying in
Making
a
it
private
rain.
jet.
He has his own
Stewart.
golf cart. He has his own golf cart on that set.
It is nice.
He's fancy.
Well, Lex, thanks for being on
coming.
the pod.
Guys, I am so delighted. You guys are my favorite podcast besides The First Degree. And Keltie, when you listen and cut me out of the podcast, I wish you were here because you resonate with me. And congrats on your show, Keltie.
Yes, congrats on your show, Keltie.
I know she's out there working. All right. Well,
And we will
see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening. The Lady Gang is produced by Alex Ingber, Steve Delameter, and Jared Monaco. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And if you love it, share it with your friends on social media. Like, oh my God, I just listened to Lady Gang. This episode's so great. Swipe up to listen. And if you really want to, which we know you do, please follow us on social. At Keltie, at Becca, at Jac Vanek, and at The Lady Gang. Sign up for our newsletter at theladygang.com and join our secret Facebook group. It's super fun. See you next Tuesday.
Stream the biggest movies and TV shows for free on Pluto TV. Watch movies like Titanic and G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, plus TV shows like CSI and Star Trek: The Next Generation. Starting this month, check out the 24/7 Stargate channel exclusively on Pluto TV. Plus hundreds of channels and thousands of movies and TV shows absolutely free. Download the free Pluto TV app on your favorite streaming device and start watching today.